Hello, everybody. Okay, so we have three different
cameras going on here.
going right now, and because we really want to get this. So, hello, it's Valency with Love Belly. Hello, mamas. Good to see you. And this is Lynn Schulte, and I am super happy to be here with her. I just got done doing a birth healing with her, and I am going to let the pro explain it because it is one of the most, I can just say, amazing and transformational therapies that I have ever had, especially because I've had a lot of issues with my lower back. I herniated L4, L5, and S1 after the birth of my daughter 5 years ago. So I've had pain on and off for 5 years. And the first year of it, I was in severe pain where I could hardly walk. I was almost pretty much bedridden for 12 hours a day. I had a toddler. I was living in Costa Rica, a new country, and it was just crazy. So through that experience, I had a lot of interesting healing modalities. I've done acupuncture, chiropractic, massage. I even had a Costa Rican shaman working on me. It was nuts. But and what ended up healing me that first time, for the most part, was an emotional healing, which we'll talk about another time. But actually,
it's so important.
Well, because that's actually what we kind of delved into a little bit more, because there's so much that happens with the birth of a child, and that's also the birthing of the mother in so many different ways. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and also Lynn's modality and what she does and how powerful and necessary I really feel that it is for moms. Because I want to say right now, moms, if you have any pain after birth, it's not normal. And you do not have to...
Amen, sister. Amen.
You do not have to live in pain. I promise you that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand it over, and
right.
I just want to say that I love this woman.
Oh, that was so fun. It's such a wonderful session we just got done having. And, hearing your birth, your second baby came out in 1 hour.
Yeah.
And that...
Fast and furious. So.
Yeah, and that's like a shotgun going off. Like the body, literally a bullet leaving a gun, and the pelvis, the bones of the body get stuck in this open pattern. Yeah. And I remember I was saying, I could barely, my hands are really large, but one sit bone, so the bones that you sit on, they have to splay open for the baby to come on out. And when we started, one bone was here and one bone was way over here. And I was like, do you feel how far apart those are? For as thin as you are, they were way too wide. Yeah. And so we just helped the bones come back together again. And everything then softens. So when your pelvis is stuck in this open birthing pattern, it's hard to bend forward without your back having to go, oh my God, I'm trying to hang on for dear life. And all the muscles and everything have to work so much harder when the bones aren't back together again. Yeah. And so that is, that was the biggest piece of it. But then do you mind if we dive into the other?
Go for it. Yeah.
So you were talking about owning or starting your own business and getting Love Belly up and out into the world. Yeah. It's a lot of work. And
raising 2 children.
Yeah, 2 young ones at the
married.
Same time. Right?
I mean, 3 children, just joking.
Yeah. Right, well, right? Yeah. Which was the third, the husband or the business?
Yeah, right. Oh, well, then that's 4.
4,
there's
right?
4.
Yeah. So, but there's that right side. So a lot of your back pain was in the right side, and that's very common based on what I find with the common birthing pattern. The right side tends to get jammed up more, so the right sacroiliac joint does. And
that's interesting.
It's always over to the right, typically with the way the babies come on out. But the right side of the body is also the masculine, and about having support to do the work in the world. Yeah. To have the support to be able to be out into the world. Yeah. And sometimes that we don't always feel it. And so that really actually stemmed from your childhood. Yeah. And not getting the love and the support from your mom. Now, your mom was there and you had a beautiful relationship with her, but it wasn't exactly what you wanted. Yeah. And none of us really get exactly what we want from our parents. Yeah. And so then it's about really going back and helping that little child within us, the little girls within us, to be able to get that love and support. So we brought in the great mother's energy and really helped you to feel more supported. We also shifted a limiting belief around not having any support.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Right? I think there's so many things in our life that we are supported, and like our parents, they are there doing the best they can from where they're at.
Right.
But there's stories that we make up about things, and so,
Our perception of
our
it.
perception of things.
Right.
And then we live with that, and then we build upon those stories, and there's layers and layers and layers, and those layers have to kind of start to come off if you're going to heal, or if I'm going to heal. And so it was
If
great
all of
to
us are
kind of,
going to heal.
it was really good
Yeah.
to kind of look deeper into those layers, and then see that, well, I am supported. And so that was a part of the belief.
And that's, as practitioners, as we're working, I got our bones back together, but there was a spot, it was the coccygeus muscle on the right in your tailbone. It wasn't releasing. And so as I spent time there and just made you more aware of it, it still wasn't releasing. And that's when I knew that there was something deeper being held in those tissues. Yeah. And as soon as we shifted that belief, I don't know if you remember, it just like everything melted in there. And so it is those deeper limiting beliefs that can get stuck in our tissues, and that can prevent the full release. And then do you mind sharing about the last blockage of energy there? So in your pelvis, it was more, there was just this block of energy. Like I didn't feel this and as soon as you identified that it was, you got pregnant and you didn't really know, you were 5 months pregnant before you realized you were pregnant, and there was this fear of, oh, it's too soon, I'm not sure about this, but as soon as you identified it, it just like went away.
Because I had my first baby at 40, and then but previously before that I had 2 miscarriages, and then I was shocked that I even got pregnant, because the fertility doctor's like, oh, if you don't have this baby in 6 months, or get pregnant within 6 months to a year, it's probably not going to happen for you. And then I did get pregnant within that time, had my son, and then I was 40, and then I thought, well, I barely got pregnant.
It's probably going to take a while, right?
It's probably going to take a while. I'm older, and my eggs were supposedly old and all that stuff. And so I had gone off the pill, and I got pregnant. And like I said, I was 5 months before I even knew I was pregnant.
Yeah. And
we kind of weren't really expecting to have a child. We had made plans to move to Costa Rica, had a toddler. And so it was kind of like this, and so somewhere deep in, I think, my subconscious is like, oh, wow, this is kind of a crazy thing. And so I think there was, not that we didn't want the baby, but it was just like, okay, you have to kind of reevaluate in your whole life. And so it was a holding of that belief, I think.
But it's interesting that it's 5 years later, and that energy of holding of, or like, oh gosh, timing, right, was still in there.
Yeah. I mean, I've been holding that for 5 years and experiencing pain off and on, and have always felt kind of this kind of contracting, holding energy, which it's kind of like you're not aware of it until you almost release it. And
exactly. And that's where the feeling into the flow of the energy, and that's why our pelvis, I find, is so amazing. It's magical in there, in that we hold a lot in there. It's our home, it's our powerhouse, it's our creative center.
Yeah.
That pelvic space is so important. And after birth, we can get really disconnected from it.
Yeah.
And, it's so important for us to get reconnected and allow things to flow and be in balance in there. Yeah. It can really help our mothering.
Yeah.
In the way that we take care of our kids and just be able to manage our daily life. Yeah. And we really need both that masculine and feminine flow in balance in there in order for things to be of ease and grace and flow in our life. Yeah. That's what I'm all about.
And can I share that story you were talking about? So I was saying, parenthood, while amazing and joyful in so many ways, is freaking hard.
Amen.
So yes. And so I said, well, what do I do about those times when I'm like, trying to get dinner ready and trying to clean up, and the kids are kind of running around screaming, and my husband's like, hey, have you finished that one thing with the business? And I'm like, I'm just like, and I'm just like, okay, I need to get this done. And it's like kind of like I'm trying to power through it. I'm like, how do I
which is a very masculine way of approaching it.
Yes, like how do I stop and not like go off on my kids and be grumpy and and
reactive,
that reactive mode. And it's just like, and Lynn's like, well, think about bringing it back to the bowl, back to your pelvis, back to that creative center. Like, find creativity within that for yourself. Like, what is a creative way that you could use to be in that situation, so I'm not so reactive. And I'll have to play with that, but I like that idea of kind of tuning in, kind of probably taking a step back, taking a breath, and kind of getting back to that creative center. And
it's allowing that inspiration to guide us, right? So when you're feeling overwhelmed and you've got a gazillion things to do, it's coming back home and connecting into that bowl, connecting into that pelvic space, and asking that feminine energy, okay, what's the best way for me to get all this done?
Yeah.
And when you do that and you get out of your head and you get out of that masculine force, it's amazing how much more grace and ease and flow can come into your life.
Yes, and I love that word grace, because it's like how we as women are feminine and we have masculine attributes, which is fine. We need to get stuff done, but I really like the idea of how do we flow and how do we have grace within the chaos? How do we find that center within the storm, the eye of the storm, and to be that center? And we have to do that for ourselves, because there's a lot of what I was going through, and through our session here, it was this feeling of just kind of abandonment. But I realized it's me, like I'm abandoning myself. And so how can I find support myself? Because all in all, in the end, it all comes back to ourselves, right?
Right. And finding that support within ourselves, in our pelvic space, is, I think, the best place to go.
Yeah.
And we need
because it's that creative center, right?
Yeah,
it's
for
a woman,
home.
That is that second chakra, that creative center. And if you meditate or do yoga, a lot of times you can just bring intention and awareness to that space and breathe into that and allow that to kind of open and help you.
Yeah,
right?
It's so amazing. It's so powerful. And so I just want to say that a lot of that, the bowl work, understanding the different parts of the bowl, you can find out more about reading The Wild Feminine by Tammy Kent. So it's a book, Wild Feminine. You can check that out. I also recommend anyone who's had a baby could really benefit from getting a birth healing session that you just experienced. And
I wish I would have done
5 years ago. I can't tell you how often I hear that. Why did I wait so long?
It's like,
I hear that over and over again. Why did I wait so long to do this? Because it's about coming home to you and coming back to you, and being able to connect back into you is so important.
I love that. You said
birth.
that earlier, and I love that, coming home back to yourself, coming home. And because we give and we give and we give to our, our family, our kids, our husband, our work, our
everybody
home,
else,
our, and it's just like, how do we bring some of that back into ourselves? Because if we are not fed and nurtured, we have nothing to give. Or the way in which we're giving it, which I've noticed with myself, is I'm kind of reactive and I'm grumpy and I'm not giving the loving, connected energy in a way that I'd like to give, right? To all the people that deserve it.
It comes back that. So, a couple of takeaways here, everybody. If you're having pain after birth, it's so not necessary. Please reach out. Go to instituteforbirthhealing.com, and there is a directory of all the practitioners that I have trained. I've created this body of work to help moms. I know how to help moms to come back together after birth. I know how to help heal the body. I know to help heal the soul and the spirit and all of that. And I'm now teaching other practitioners how to do the same. And so you can go and work with, hopefully there's someone in your area. If there's not, please let practitioners know about this body of work and say, go get trained so that you can help me. Okay? That you can get the access to the courses online or live and in person if you're a body worker. Those are courses for body workers. And then if you are wanting more connection into the bowl and understanding that energy and that's my advanced trained practitioners. So you want to work with someone who has been to one of my advanced trainings, okay? I also have other online courses for confidence in your core, pelvic floor, and more, which can help you to recover your belly, your pelvic floor muscles after birth. So you can check all that out on my website, okay? So thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And I just kind of want to reiterate that, we talked a lot about more of the emotional side of things a little bit here, but and a little bit about the physical too, but it's so important that I think it's almost something, well, not almost, it is something I believe that every woman should have included in their postpartum care.
Absolutely.
And even in prenatal,
get
just
your
because
body checked out before you go into labor.
See what's going on with your hips and your pelvis and that whole bowl. See where you're at, so that you can actually get, work with Lynn or a practitioner, or another practitioner that can help kind of align you and get you set up for a successful, smoother birth.
Yes.
There's no guarantees, but I will tell you, if your pelvis is in alignment and if your muscles and everything are firing and they are supported and in the right position, you will have such an easier birth. And
amen, sister.
Yeah, and I know I'm
so
kind of getting a little crazy and excited, but it is just something that's so powerful. And so just look into it, check it out, see if it feels right for you.
Yeah.
But I at least wanted to get on here and share with you in the community so that it's out there. And I feel like it's a part of my job to share these things with moms so that they can have the best experience possible and make pregnancy a powerful, transformational experience.
Absolutely. Amen. I'm so glad. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this
You're
and for
welcome.
sharing your story with everybody. And this work is so important, and I really appreciate the time to do this. So
You're welcome.
thank you for listening in, everybody.
Right.
Hi,
Take care.
Janelle. Hi,
Bye.
everybody.
And we have, like I said, 3 cameras, so
Hi.
All right.
Doing it all at once.
Yeah.
All right.
Take
Take
care.
care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.